There's a crucial molecule in your body that helps control everything. Your circulation, your energy, your stamina, your heart, even your sharpness of mind. It's called nitric oxide. But after age 40, your body makes less and less of it. Less blood flow, less stamina, less of you. But now there's N101, the nitric oxide lozenge developed by Dr. Nathan Bryan, the world's leading nitric oxide researcher backed by Nobel Prize-winning science. N101 is designed to naturally restore your body's nitric oxide levels. Just do what I do and let one dissolve in your mouth twice a day. I especially make sure to take it before workouts. N101 goes to work in minutes, releasing nitric oxide directly into your bloodstream, supporting healthy circulation, boosting oxygen delivery to your muscles and brain, helping you feel the way you're supposed to feel. More energy, better blood flow, sharper focus. Day after day. N101, it's the science of you working better. Visit HoffmanNO.com. That's HoffmanNO.com and use coupon code Hoffman10 for 10% off N101. Welcome to today's Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ronald Hoffman. It's our weekly Q&A with Leyla. With us, of course, is Leyla Muden, who is our resident nutritionist. And together we answer your questions. Questions come to questions@drhoffman.net. And we've got some great questions to bounce off of today. How are you doing, Leyla?
Okay, Dr. Hoffman. How are you?
Good. Enjoying some balmy summer weather here.
Yeah.
After, it's like actual technically late spring weather. But finally we're getting a reprieve from the heat and humidity here. And it's really been quite beautiful and agreeable here in New York.
Lovely. It's been nice sitting on the porch, actually. So
Indeed.
I'm happy. Yeah.
All right. So I hope that wherever you are in the country that you're enjoying some more outdoor time. And having a good time of it as we move into the summer months. We'll keep broadcasting, of course, and we'll be your companion throughout the summer. Maybe summer, a little more leisure time, maybe a little more time to download some podcasts and listen to them, maybe while you're doing your chores. I listen to podcasts while, actually, I get on the spin bike sometimes, and I listen to I'd listen to somebody else's podcast because I'm always looking for new sources of information.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that, it could be an accompaniment to exercise. I mean, if your exercise is too, technical, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you do a, cross-country single-track bike trip through, a jungle pathway that's hard to navigate over rocky, muddy terrain while listening to intelligent medicine because it requires a little concentration to focus on the trail. But if you're doing a repetitive type of exercise, maybe you're on the Stairmaster or you're on the spin bike or the exercise bike or the treadmill.
Or you're dusting your furniture.
Oh, yeah. I do that. I do that too.
Yeah. Watering the plants.
Well, I try to divert myself sometimes while vacuuming. Although I have to say that, what goes well for me when I'm vacuuming is a little bit of thrash metal, like Metallica.
Right. Good stuff.
So anyway, this week, before we get into questions, this week, just as I was about to order my new supply of glucosamine sulfate, which is a supplement that I've been faithfully taking for, I think, over 30 years.
Yeah.
Literally since the 1980s, because I was a colleague of Dr. Jason Theodosakis. I don't know if you remember him, but he wrote a real revolutionary book called The Arthritis Cure. And the way that I found out about glucosamine sulfate was originally because for a while I got into horseback riding. And when I got into horseback riding, somehow when you sign up for horseback riding, they put you on a list and then they send you a complimentary equestrian magazine. They're magazines that are like for horse lovers. There's a big enough community of horse lovers to merit a horsey magazine. And in that horsey magazine, you can buy jodhpurs and riding crops and saddles. But also I saw an intriguing ad there for something called equine. Now, equine is, from, I guess, the Greek or Latin for horse, right?
Yeah.
In fact, there was a Broadway play once. Remember, it was called Equus. It was about a horse. And, okay, anyway. So, cosequin was literally a bucket of glucosamine that you could add to horse feed to help your horse's joints, because animals suffer from arthritis. And, horses, especially, prized quarter horses in the racing world, we take better care of them than we do people because they're worth a lot of money. They're big investments and they can win a lot of money. So first I saw, well, okay, if you can buy a bucket of this stuff for your horse, and then soon thereafter I found that there were ads for a canine version of this, like a dog version of glucosamine. And then he was introduced for the human market, and there was that new book by Jason Theodorakis, The Arthritis Cure, and we were off to the races on glucosamine sulfate. So I've been taking it ever since. And since then, there have been studies on glucosamine. Some studies have said meh, and some studies have said indeed it helps somewhat. It's not like a magical cure for osteoarthritis, because if you're in a lot of pain and you can't just take it like Advil, make the pain go away, but it works in a different way. I think it supports joints and it supports collagen. Yeah. And I think it also has some additional benefits, because I think it may be, for all I know, good for skin, for collagen and elsewhere in your body. To some extent, it's been a little bit supplanted by collagen, just collagen. People take various forms of collagen, which I also take. But I'm, hedging my bets with a variety of things to protect my joints, because I want to keep walking. I want to keep exercising. I want to keep swimming. So this is, fast forward to 2026. And I was, I ordered through FullScript, our online dispensary. And I was just about to put in my order. I said, I'm out of glucosamine. And I usually buy like 6 bottles at a time. Headline: millions take this joint supplement, but scientists found a concerning Alzheimer's link. Whoa.
Yeah. And interestingly, Dr. Hoffman, Jackie also wrote us.
Yeah. I knew this would happen.
Morning.
I knew this would happen.
8:22 this morning.
Right.
Jackie writes, is there any truth to some of the latest news that claims glucosamine supplements accelerate dementia and Alzheimer's? So I'm glad we're addressing this.
So, it's one of those tell me it ain't so stories, Dr. Hoffman, tell me it ain't so. And so what I did was, I reviewed the news stories, and on the face of it, the news stories have troubling information. I often quote news stories from something called Science Daily, which is a popular science site. It's science-y. It's not necessarily, authoritative, but it does report science news. And here's what they said. They said their headline was "Popular Joint Supplement Glucosamine Linked to Faster Alzheimer's Progression."
Oh, my.
And they summarize the study's findings as follows. They said, a major study suggests glucosamine, a popular supplement for joint pain, could be linked to faster progression from mild cognitive impairment to Alzheimer's disease. And they uncovered biological clues that may explain why. So, in the spirit of, let me check this out, not necessarily to knock it down, because, I am willing to modify my long cherished beliefs in the light of new scientific evidence.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, so often happens is that we don't get the full story from abbreviated news reports, which are often kind of alarmist. And so I wanted to see, what does this actual study say? And so I went to the study, which is in a very prestigious journal. It's in Nature Metabolism, which is a high-impact journal. It's a very credible journal. It's not a rinky-dink journal. And lo and behold, the article is very, very rigorous science. And it starts with a discussion of glycosylation.
Yes.
Now, I think you and I know a thing or two about glycosylation. This is not a new concept. So maybe, break it down for us. What is glycosylation?
So really, glycosylation, it's a biological process where sugars are attaching to proteins.
Mm-hmm.
It's high blood sugars, what we're seeing as in a hemoglobin A1C.
Right.
Is an indicator of
that
glycosylation.
Hemoglobin A1C is an abbreviation for
yes.
Glycosylated hemoglobin.
Yes.
And hemoglobin being actually one of the first proteins that was characterized, I believe it was by Linus Pauling, as a matter of fact. It is a protein, and when it gets glycosylated, when a sugar molecule gets tagged onto it, it kind of makes the hemoglobin less effective.
Yeah. So when you read the title of that study, glycosylation is a metabolic driver of Alzheimer's, I said to myself, what does that have to do with glucosamine supplements?
Right.
We're talking about glycosylation. We're talking about two entirely different things here.
Yeah.
We're talking about high blood sugar in the body.
Yeah. Which gets to the brain.
Metabolic syndrome, diabetes. This causes aging. It causes us to rust.
Right.
Literally. And sure, that's going to mess with your brain.
In fact, there are, and we've known this for a long time. We've known about these things called AGEs, which is a great acronym. AGEs, age you, advanced glycation end products.
Yes.
Which are the results of, you can actually see this in cooking, when you're an expert chef and that if you want to put something on the grill and you want to, get a nice browning effect, maybe you're making some spare ribs or something.
Yeah.
You put a little marinade on it. What's that sugar?
Sure.
And the sugar binds to the proteins and it creates a Maillard reaction, which makes that tasty crust that we enjoy, but it also delivers AGEs to the body. And there's actually a concern, eat too much grilled meat. Maybe you're getting some AGEs externally and it's going to age you.
Well, it's less about the grilled meat, Dr. Hoffman, in my findings. It's more about that non-enzymatic browning, which is the Maillard reaction, which we see more on starches, French fries, breads, things that brown. That is not only
toast.
Those are causing the aging, toast, all of that. But in our body, the AGEs, that is being created by a high sugar, high starch, high carbohydrate diet.
And it doesn't require high heat like on a grill. It's at normal body temperature. It's a much slower reaction. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. But as a result, we age. We have these damaged, inefficient proteins, which if the collagen is glycated, you get wrinkles and skin discoloration because your collagen's properties its elasticity is being undermined and its filler ability, you get that kind of hollowed out look. And so, when I used to lecture about this, I used to flash a picture of Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
Because he's the most glycosylated looking individual.
Man.
Yeah. After all the stuff that he's inflicted on his body, the drugs and the alcohol and the, heroin So cigarettes aplenty, he has had a lot of glycosylation. So that being the case, they establish in the first part of this study that eventually gets to the issue of glucosamine. The first part of the study, they establish very clearly that glycosylation in the brain is a process that ultimately robs you of your memory and your ability to think and can put you on the pathway to Alzheimer's. I'm okay with that. With that. Yeah.
Yep.
And so and they do it in with using the most high-tech methods of investigation with, very sophisticated lab analysis, and they demonstrate that. They go, fine. So after finishing that first half, I said, okay, great. The headline, if they had stopped there, the headline would have been, elevated blood sugar ages your brain.
Yeah. We call it type 3 diabetes. That's what we call Alzheimer's or insulin resistance in the brain. So, So what does this have to do with glucosamine?
Well,
The word
okay.
glucose is in the what?
Well, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
Glucosamine is a sugar amino acid. Okay. It's a glycated amino acid. So now you could say, well, how do we know it's getting to the brain? Because a lot of things, you take orally and they're not very bioavailable. They get broken down and they don't reach the brain. They don't cross the blood-brain barrier. But it's actually been demonstrated that when you take glucosamine in the form of glucosamine sulfate, glucosamine hydrochloride, I don't care which, that it's small enough to penetrate the brain, cross the blood-brain barrier. So they theorize that maybe that is a source of accelerated glycation. And they demonstrate that that is indeed the case in the test tube. In the test tube, if you take, I guess, they've taken, brain tissue and they took glucosamine and they looked at it 6 ways to Sunday and they found out that if you apply glucosamine to brain tissue, there will be accelerated glycation. So, okay, this is how you build a hypothesis. I mean, it's step by step. And, I have to admire them for their methodical way of demonstrating this. So then they looked at a type of mouse, which is an Alzheimer's prone mouse.
Yeah.
Now, we study all kinds of diseases in mice. And what they do is they create models for various diseases. They have diabetic mice. They have obese mice. They have mice that have all manner of god-awful diseases because they can actually breed them and genetically modify them so that you can really study a disease. Because if you had to look at it, the average mouse, like a very small percentage of them would develop, something like Alzheimer's disease. I mean, they age, but these are mice that are extraordinarily prone to Alzheimer's disease. They knocked out some genes that are protective and they almost all get Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah.
Okay. So what they did is they fed them some glucosamine. So the first thing I looked at was, did they feed them a realistic amount? Because sometimes they do studies where they give like such a ridiculous amount of something, and then they say it's harmful in the mice. But if you looked at a human equivalent, that the human would have to consume like, a half a pound of it. And it's not really, but actually they did it a fairly good job. They gave a mouse equivalent of what to a human would be 2,500 of glucosamine.
Milligrams. Yeah.
Now, I take a glucosamine product that delivers, 1,200 or 1,500 of glucosamine. So I'm not getting 2,500, but I'm going to concede the point. They pushed it a little bit. They gave a little more. Fine. Yeah. Okay. So, and what they found was that in those mice, they had an accelerated progression to an Alzheimer's disease state. And they demonstrated that because the mice couldn't find their way through mazes. They lost their memory. They couldn't be trained to, do simple tasks because they have ways you can, they don't take IQ tests. They don't take, like a pen and pencil exam, but there are ways to check whether mice are with it or not. So they demonstrated that. Then they looked at the mouse brains and they found that the brains were messed up and the brains were more glycated when they took the glucosamine. So, okay, this is like a smoking gun, right? This is something. Yeah. This is something.
Except I might unravel that in a little different way because these mice were bred to especially breed, to have Alzheimer's. So that had to play a huge role. That's a confounder to me. Right.
Okay, so the plot thickens, okay?
Yeah.
So then they said, well, there's evidence in humans that glucosamine, if taken by Alzheimer's patients, can accelerate the progression of Alzheimer's disease. Okay, now here's the problem. Have you treated a fair number of patients with Alzheimer's disease?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think we've seen some. Here's one thing about patients with Alzheimer's disease. It's exceptionally hard to get them to take supplements.
Absolutely.
It's very hard because they don't know to organize their supplements. They have to get a caregiver or a family member to organize their supplements and make them take supplements. And they don't want to take supplements because they have trouble swallowing. They're not motivated to take supplements. They have no motivation whatsoever. They've lost that.
Or they may be irritable. They don't want to comply. That's part of the Alzheimer's.
And if they're going to get supplements, it would seem to me that they would take mostly cognitive supporting supplements. Like fish oil, like phosphatidylcholine, like phosphatidylserine. These are the kinds of things. But there's only so much room. You can't give them 500 supplements. So it would seem to me kind of low on the priority list of the supplements that an Alzheimer's patient might take would be glucosamine sulfate. Because if you have Alzheimer's disease, it's only a minor concern about your joints, right?
True.
And if your joints are bothering you to the extent where you really think you need to have glucosamine, you would probably be a pretty inflamed person. And we know that inflammation accelerates Alzheimer's disease. So it could be, and I'm just saying that if you find some Alzheimer's patients who are really taking glucosamine religiously, they're going to be pretty inflamed. So also, I think the biggest Achilles heel of this study, and the biggest Achilles heel in a lot of studies, is unless you put people in a sealed room under experimental conditions,
chamber.
And say, you are going to live here for a year. You can't go outside, and we're going to supervise every morsel of food you eat and every supplement you take. And oh, by the way, we'll do a blood test to make sure that you've taken that supplement. Well, there's no blood test for glucosamine. You can check to see whether people are complying with B12 or vitamin D. Or you could see, are they really taking it? Because you get blood levels. But you can't do that with glucosamine. So they relied on self-reports and physician records. When was the last, you see a lot of physician records. When was the last time you saw an accurate record from a doctor about all the supplements that your clients are taking?
Oh, almost nil, really, honestly.
The doctors don't, it's overwhelming to them. They don't bother. Very infrequent. So what they did is to determine if there was a group of Alzheimer's patients who were taking glucosamine, they relied on, I think, absolutely unreliable doctors' records, electronic medical records, or patient self-reports, which are notoriously bad.
Terrible.
Bad. Yeah.
They're terrible.
So that's a problem.
That's
a problem. That's, I think, the Achilles heel of the study.
Yes.
But what they did demonstrate is, for sure, if the reports of the patients that they were taking glucosamine were correct, which is a big assumption, that there was an accelerated progression to Alzheimer's disease in the patients taking glucosamine. Then they looked at patients with MCI.
Mild cognitive impairment.
Mild cognitive impairment. And now mild cognitive impairment, see, if you're going to want to do something to prevent Alzheimer's disease, you want to get the people with mild cognitive impairment.
Sure.
You want to get them early. So, and there are people who don't have Alzheimer's disease, but they have distinct memory deficits. They have mild cognitive impairment, which a fairly high percentage of people in their 70s, 80s, 90s have. But here's the problem. Only 5% of those people go on ordinarily to progress to Alzheimer's. So, all right. So what they found was, I'm sorry. I'll go back a step. What they found, they did not find that in the Alzheimer's patients, in the mice, they found the mice got lost memory and performed less well. They didn't do that on the people. They looked at records of how soon these Alzheimer's patients died. When they took glucosamine, they say they died 25% sooner. They say, all right, with the glucosamine. They did not say that they died of memory deficit. They just said that they died sooner. So now, to demonstrate that there really was an effect in humans, unlike in the mice, they found an effect in this experimental model. In the humans, they just said they died sooner. So that's like a little apples and oranges. The presumption is that they died sooner because their Alzheimer's progressed more rapidly, but that's a big assumption. That's not necessarily synonymous.
Right. They could have died from something else not associated with Alzheimer's.
Right. What they did find in the what they did not find in the MCI patients taking glucosamine didn't die sooner. They did not find that. The claim is that they found in the MCI patients that there was a more rapid progression to Alzheimer's in those people taking glucosamine. But the problem is that since only 5% of patients go on to progress to Alzheimer's, they only found there was a 25% increase in, I know this is complicated math, stay with me on this, but I did this carefully. They found that there was a 25% acceleration towards Alzheimer's in these patients with mild cognitive impairment who took glucosamine. What does that represent actually? 25% of 5% is 1.25%, if my math is correct. So what they found is that instead of 5% progressing to Alzheimer's, 6.25% progressed to Alzheimer's who took glucosamine. That's not a big difference.
It's not.
To me, it's not a robust statistical differentiation there.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a hint of a trend, but I don't think that's very, very strong trend towards it made the MCI patients worse.
Right.
So now they said, that's funny. Now let's look at ordinary mice.
Oh,
because
finally.
they don't have an MCI mouse.
Right.
It's either they've got Alzheimer's or they're like regular, happy, the kind of mice that, are in Disney cartoons. They're the wild type mice, and they're not disease prone. They're just ordinary mice. So they found that by giving those mice the glucosamine, there was no difference.
There was no difference.
There was no difference. And what they also found, and then they had the opportunity, unlike people, they got to slice and dice the mice, looked at their brains. They found no changes in glycosylation in their brain in those mice.
From glucosamine tablets.
From glucosamine. So the take home from that is, I think I'm a wild type mouse. I do not have either MCI, although I don't know, if you listen to these podcasts, you might think I do from time to time. But I think I'm a wild type mouse. And
me too.
And if the wild type mice, given an amount of glucosamine that's actually more than maybe roughly twice as much as what a human would get over a period of time, did not develop memory problems, cognitive decline, and B, when their brains were looked at, they weren't more glycosylated. I don't think that this is consequential for most people.
Yeah.
I do think that in spite of the limitations of the study that I pointed out, the methodological flaws in the study, which I think are significant, I think that this is a danger signal or a caution signal where if you have Alzheimer's disease, maybe it's not a good idea to take glucosamine, but hey, you've got a lot of other things that you probably should be taking.
Exactly. Exactly. Right.
So I think way down the list of things, like really should an Alzheimer's patient be worried that, oh my God, I'm worried that I'm going to need, a knee replacement and I'm taking glucosamine because I have knee pain? Like, no, they're barely hanging on. And the way down on the list of their priorities is to protect their joints.
Yeah.
So I think that this study is, so that the bottom line is that, I put my order in, I ordered another 6 bottles of glucosamine with chondroitin, because I always take it with chondroitin. And so what was your take on that? Because I shared this article with, by the way, this article is going to appear in our newsletter. So if you haven't yet subscribed to our newsletter, please do. But I predict, though, that there's going to be a big hit on the glucosamine market. I think people are going to be freaked out. They're going to extrapolate because they're going to say that, oh my God, it can cause Alzheimer's. Well, I don't want to get Alzheimer's.
Right. Because it makes it sound like normal people who are taking glucosamine have a higher likelihood, and it's simply not the case.
It's not the case
at all.
Good point at which to pause and allow one of our sponsors an opportunity to share an important message. So here goes. You know that feeling. You're exhausted, but your brain just won't quit. You're staring at the ceiling, watching the clock, dreading the morning. Here's something that actually helps. It's called Kyolic Specialty Series Sleep Mushrooms Plus. And it's unlike anything you've tried before. This isn't some chemical sleep aid that leaves you foggy and dragging the next day. This is a clean botanical formula built around certified organic reishi mushrooms grown on real farms, not in a lab, combined with valerian root to help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer, L-theanine to quiet that racing mind, and Kyolic aged garlic extract, one of the most trusted wellness ingredients available for circulation and stress support. It's vegan, non-GMO, no gluten, no dairy, no artificial anything. Just 2 capsules, 2 hours before bed, and you wake up actually rested, not groggy, not out of it, just refreshed. Kyolic Sleep Mushrooms Plus from Wakanaga. Learn more about this and the entire Kyolic Mushrooms Plus line at kyolic.com. That's KYOLIC.com. Look for Kyolic at natural health stores nationwide and online. Thanks for listening and thanks for supporting our sponsors.
When I first looked at this, when I first read it, Dr. Hoffman, my first thought was, glycosylated hemoglobin. What does that have to do with glucosamine tablets?
Right.
I don't put the two together. That's not it. I put glycosylated hemoglobin with, French fries and breads and toast.
That's what you need to watch out for.
All of that. And pastry.
Right.
And that's what I put that together with. Glycosylated hemoglobin. Yeah. There is something to do with Alzheimer's there because it has to do with high blood sugar.
And
I think this
control
is
your blood sugar. Control your blood sugar.
Control your blood sugar. You could take all the glucosamine you want. I remember back, Dr. Hoffman, I think this was a couple of decades ago where some people were wondering, they had high blood sugar. They would say, is that because of my glucosamine? Because they thought,
glucosamine.
Glucosamine.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
All right, well, you could stop your glucosamine and see if anything changes in your blood sugar.
Right.
But wait, before you do that, you're eating a high carb diet, right?
Right.
That's the first thing I'm going to point to.
It's not that little itty bitty tablet that you're taking.
No, for crying out loud. Yeah, it's not that at all.
Yeah.
Just like when you're given a sugar pill as a placebo in a study, that's not really going to do anything. You're not drinking a can of soda every day or fruit juices and things like that. I just think, Dr. Hoffman, as we're seeing over and over, it's just another hit piece still on the supplement industry as Maha attempts to infiltrate better and wash all that away.
I have to say, I respect the researchers here for doing a comprehensive job. Although it is a hit job on a nutrient that we like, I think that they were making an earnest effort to discover something. And I think that this will be harnessed by some as an attack on the wild west of the supplement industry. Look what they're giving you. It's crap, you're doing yourself grievous harm, blah, blah, blah. That I don't blame the researchers for that.
Yeah. But I have a bone to pick with them too.
Sure. Go ahead.
Using mice that were bred to have Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
The mice are not identical twins. They're not identical septuplets. What are we talking about here? If they knock out your Alzheimer's, you were bred to have Alzheimer's and I was bred to have Alzheimer's and one of us who took glucosamine no, how could that work?
Right.
You're saying that each mouse's biology, physiology is exactly the same as the other mouse bred to have Alzheimer's.
This is actually...
How do we know that those same mice that they gave glucosamine to, that they saw progress faster to Alzheimer's, that if they didn't give the glucosamine to them, that the same thing wouldn't happen because they were already bred to have Alzheimer's? I find this to be a confound.
What they're saying is that they all developed Alzheimer's, just the ones who got glucosamine got it faster. But, the point being is, when it comes to humans, though, there are they think that about 1/6 of all Alzheimer's is genetically determined. So 5/6 of Alzheimer's is about lifestyle and environmentally determined. And it may be, exposure to chemicals and maybe concussions. It certainly has a lot to do with diet. And it could also have to do with, unfortunately, some of the medications that people take. There's so many medications that hasten cognitive decline. I think glucosamine sulfate is the least of things.
Antihistamines.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Simple antihistamines.
Well, even the medication
what?
that's designed
Yeah.
to make you pee less, the anticholinergic medications,
Right.
that are,
All of that too.
like designed
Yeah.
to help
Yeah.
people with urinary continence.
And I want to push a little further on the genetically determined aspect of this, because again, your lifestyle has to do with whether many of these genes are being turned on or staying off.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
like it's like the woe is me. There's diabetes in my family. I'm
Yeah.
going to get it too. No, your family ate in a way to have diabetes.
Well, you
It's
can
not
use
that the
you can use
genes
the
were there.
famous meme about the gun, right?
Oh yeah. The genetics may be the loaded gun, right? But
Genetics
it's
loads the gun,
lifestyle.
pulls the trigger.
Lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Right. Okay,
Absolutely.
right.
That's what we're talking about. So there's more under our control than we believe.
Mhm.
We are more empowered than we believe we are. It's
Right.
true.
But, look, I just thought it was important because this question was just, I think, the cutting edge of a wave of questions that we're going to get from alarmed supplement users about this.
Yeah.
And I wanted to jump on it and get the word out as soon as possible. So thanks for the opportunity to discuss it. And you
Yeah.
will, if you're subscribed to our newsletter, go to drhoffman.com and put in your email. You'll get this in your inbox next week, because this week we're running part 2 of Avoid These Types of Doctors.
Right. Yes. That was great. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So be on the lookout for these types of doctors. And it was so long. I thought it was going to be a short article, but then I just kept adding categories of doctors to avoid. And I came up with 20 different doctors
Terrific.
to avoid. So first 10 dropped last week, and the next 10 will drop this week, and then we'll have the article about glucosamine. And if I have any new ideas on it, I'll modify the article. I think
Great.
I haven't seen, I imagine that it's going to create a lot of reactions in the supplement community, and I'll read other people's opinion on that, but I think I hit on some of the major points. And there may be some points that I missed, because I have to say that even I am not an expert statistician. I kind of barely passed statistics, because you had to take statistics, for medical school. But there are some people who can look at these numbers, and my eyes glaze over when I look at some of these
honestly,
studies.
Yeah.
And, and they can spot anomalies like, this doesn't make sense. The math is wrong here. Or, why did they do this statistical analysis with this technique?
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of stuff that really expert reviewers might pick up. That I just hit on, I think, the obvious weak points of the study.
Yeah. So any of you out there who want to comment or anything, questions at drhoffman.net. And don't freak out about glucosamine. Oh my goodness. So
that's my take. All right. Well, look, we're going to get to questions, but we had an unusually long segment about glucosamine because I think it was important, because it was one of those all hands on deck moments where, and I hate to use this the new expression is, it's a break the glass moment.
Yeah, right. But I'm so glad that we're here to help do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. It's not quite, not everything is a break the glass moment. Let's not get carried away. That's
right.
But, it's an expression. It's going to be overused.
That's true.
All right.
That's true.
When we return, we will actually take some of your questions. Questions come to questions@drhoffman.net. And that's what Q&A with Leyla is about. We'll be right back with more on today's Intelligent Medicine Podcast.